Here at Tikal. The prevailing theory for years was that these cultures reached a tipping point during sudden, devastating droughts that wiped out their ability to farm. This graph maps rainfall in the Indus Valley over a period of centuries. It was constructed using geochemical proxies, specifically the mineral layers in stalagmites that preserve a record of ancient moisture. The data shows that the dry periods were not sudden, they were slow transitions lasting 100 years or more. Managing a massive city requires a high concentration of resources. As water availability slowly declined over generations, the social costs of urban living, like disease and resource competition, eventually outweighed the benefits. The populations responded by dispersing. They moved into smaller, autonomous farming communities, where water was more manageable, and they were less dependent on a centralized state. While the brick infrastructure of cities like Harappa was left behind, the people who built it continued to farm in the surrounding valleys for centuries. Abandoning a city center is a strategic adaptation to a shifting climate, allowing a culture to persist by changing its scale. A second group, the disaster evacuees, faced more immediate threats. This includes the Nabatans, Olmecs, and the Mississippian culture at Cahokia, site of Monksmond. These societies have often been characterized as victims of sudden cataclysms that destroyed their populations overnight. To find the truth, scientists analyze fecal stanals, microscopic biomarkers left in lake sediments. These allow us to track the rise and fall of human presence in a specific area. This sediment record from the Mississippi River Valley shows a stable population until the early 1200s, when a layer of flood debris appears, the result of a massive 33-foot inundation. The population markers drop only after this event, suggesting the city was evacuated because the site itself became uninhabitable. We see the exact same historical pattern with the Minoans at Naxos. The Thera volcanic eruption and the resulting tsunamis devastated coastal ports and agricultural land, making the existing palace system impossible to maintain. In both cases, the survivors moved to the hinterlands. They carried their technology and culture with them, assimilating into the succeeding societies of the region. When the physical geography of a capital becomes a liability, cultural survival depends on the community's willingness to relocate. Then there is Rapa Nui, perhaps the most misunderstood case of societal change in history. The common narrative is one of ecocide, the idea that the islanders destroyed their own environment to build their iconic statues, leading to mass starvation. If a population undergoes a sudden, massive die-off, it leaves a genetic bottleneck, a detectable loss of diversity in the DNA of the survivors and their descendants. Genomic studies published in 2024 found no evidence of a bottleneck. This population chart shows a steady, stable growth from the 13th century right up until European contact. The Rapa Nui were actually highly successful farmers who used rock gardening to maintain their soil. The actual crash appears in the 1860s. This correlates with the arrival of Peruvian slave raids and European diseases that decimated the island long after the trees were gone. The history of Rapa Nui is an example of long-term resilience that was only broken by external human intervention. When we examine these 10 civilizations, we have to consider why we were so quick to believe they had simply vanished. Our obsession with their disappearance is often a reflection of our own modern concerns about climate change and the durability of our global cities. Forensic science reminds us that a civilization is made of people, not just monuments. Stone buildings can be abandoned while the society itself persists. These ancient cultures demonstrate a specific kind of strength, the ability to recognize when a system has become unsustainable and the willingness to move toward a more viable way of life. As we look toward a century of environmental shifts, the story of these empires suggests that human societies are capable of profound reorganization to ensure their own continuity.